Do you think things are better now, like in the hood, in the ghetto America, than they were in the 80s and 90s?
I mean, it's hard to compare to the 80s and 90s because now we live in an era where it's all kind of about like getting credit for it. Whereas like, I guess in the 80s or 90s, it would have been a lot more plausible to be a serial killer and just get away with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes the way I see it with music and shit, it's just like, oh my God, this shit is being celebrated so much that it's like, there's just a lot to be gained socially from it. And when I see these dudes making songs about each other back and forth and just constantly like using this conflict and this escalation to like build up rap careers, it's just kind of insane. But like, that's completely different than an actual criminal enterprise. Because a lot of these gangs, like maybe some of the dudes sell drugs in the gang.
Yeah.
The gang exists to beef with other gangs and to exact revenge on each other.
Yeah, there's no economy behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like at least if they're making songs about each other, that's still creative. They're still driving at something that's not shooting people. Like it's all fake. It just like these rappers are fake.
It incentivizes people to murder them to such an insane extent.
Well, especially the rappers you have on here now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You make a song shitting on somebody's dead little brother. Like the most intense example of this we had in recent memory is there's this guy YBC Duel from Philadelphia, and he was known as Mr. Disrespectful. He literally, in every interview and everything, he would just shit on his enemies so crazy. He would have videos that were like McDonald's themed because he had an enemy that got killed while working at McDonald's. And then he does a whole vlog. This YouTuber goes to his neighborhood, makes a whole vlog with him where he's walking around his neighborhood for 20, 30 minutes talking about how he's so hard. He's never been shot at. Nobody's ever did anything to him. He literally gets killed the next day.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think got totally lost in that, because people are asking me, they're like, well, he couldn't have really been the killer, right? Because why would he be making all this music and putting himself out there like that if he had actually been the one pulling the trigger? And my response was like, yeah, maybe, but like maybe he had some other kind of like outside contribution. I forgot about the fact that in his songs and shit, he would be talking about getting on planes and making money, basically, like talking about trafficking drugs, probably weed, maybe some other stuff.
Right.
But either way, like that's another option, is that maybe he was like kind of helping supply the money to get people killed through selling drugs. So then they let you rap about it. You're kind of like a trophy to your neighborhood. That would make sense.
Dude, do you know what that is like? That's like the narco corridos. Do you know about this?
Yes.
Like, so they basically, these corridos basically sing for a cartel. And some of them are like exclusive, like on contract with cartels.
There's
like,
a guy named Cholo Juan who told me he was going to write a corrido about me. Haven't got it yet.
Oh my God, amazing. Well,
it might take a few more months to write. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's alive.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. You never know.
But no, that's kind of what it reminds me of. Like they're sponsored by the guys actually getting money, actually doing the crime. You know what I mean? And that's what's changed about rap is now that we know from history, 90s rap, all that gangster shit, none of those dudes were actually hard.
Mostly true, yeah. Some of Eazy-E was hard. But
Eazy-E was hard.
Eazy-E wasn't writing his own raps.
Right.
But also, he wasn't a serial killer.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Now the rappers, that is what's changed, is now these rappers really like, oh yeah, I sell tons of ecstasy and I have an independent record label.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you have a lot of people like side by side who are like rapping about doing all this shit and then like getting caught for doing extremely similar things to it. Yeah.
It also gives them something to rap about though. If you go do a whole show, if you go do a county stretch, if you go do a bid, yeah, maybe you lose some of your buzz. You can almost be like, keep your buzz up like TikToking from prison.
Oh, yeah. Happens
so you
all
can
the
keep
time.
your brand.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know this dude, Dodie Six, who I was talking about before, who he gets locked up and he keeps getting phones while he's in prison, and he shoots like 100 music videos in his cell, and he's sending the footage to a guy who's doing like edits with the footage to make it look a lot better and shit like that. And he has like a bunch of songs with hundreds of thousands of views. He's on Instagram Live. And when I'm talking to him about it, he basically, because I think every time he would get caught, he said he would get 75 days of hard time, aka basically like that's time that can't get whacked off your sentence for good behavior or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give a I would rather do 100% of my sentence and have phones than do a much shorter sentence and not be able to express myself musically. I'm like, that is amazing.
Brilliant.
Your dedication to making music is so strong that you need to be doing it and uploading it.
Respect.
Hey, yeah.
Well, remember the X-Rated? That's what
I just had him on the other day, yeah.
Oh, you got to give me his number, bro. He's got to come on my shit, bro. He was making songs in the 90s from jail.
Yes.
Like he was rapping over the jail phone, just like Mac Dre. They like literally they snuck in a recorder.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had the prison phones. Somebody on the inside like gave them the.
That was just
the
him rapping over the phone. They have even more ways to do it over the phone now too. Yeah.
Bro. Man, I remember when I saw cell phones in there for the first time. I'm like, holy shit, I'm in it.
Yeah. You never had one?
I never had one. You
just wanted to get through it?
Yeah, because if you got caught with one, you're losing all your good time. You might get a new charge.
Yeah.
But like $1,000 just for a little track phone.
Yeah.
Now they're in there. I think half of my audience is locked up. I really do.
Really?
Because I get hundreds of thousands of views an episode, and nobody comes out to my comedy shows still. I think I got to do a prison. I got to do a penitentiary tour, dude.
Wow, that would be crazy if you knew that to be true. I feel like I don't have a lot of people who are locked up tapping in with me. Sometimes I go out of my way to tap in with them when I see them getting a lot of views on TikTok while being locked up. I'll just be like, hey, salute, man. And they'll be like, what the why are you DMing me? I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted to say hi.
Dude, we got to collaborate more, Adam 22.
No, for sure. Yeah.
It's been a trip, man. And then when I finished telling my stories, when I ran out of stories, now I just like I'm fascinated by the people I talk to because to hear their perspective on the game, because I thought I was really deep in the drug game, but when I talk to guys, black guys from Detroit who had 500 kilos a week shipped up from Sinaloa,
wow,
who had was in Chapo's ranch, you know what I mean, in Mexico, and they were giving them the blessing. I'm like, oh, I knew a fraction. Wow. Of how it really works when I was in it.
So the whole time you're locked up, what are you thinking that you're going to do when you get out?
I was going to move to Hollywood. And I didn't know exactly. I was like, okay, what can I really do? I probably can't be an actor. I'm too tall, 6'6", and I'm just...
Yeah, very,
you know what I mean?
Very rarely am I around a white dude on this podcast who's like way taller than me. That was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I love shocking people with my height when they meet me.
And literally every person who comes up to me to take a photo, they immediately say... You're taller than I expected.
You're right.
So you having 3 inches on me, I can only imagine how much.
So try my life.
Bro, I Googled it the other day, like what percentage of people are 6'3" or taller, and I think it was like 3 or 4% of people are 6'3" or taller. So I can only imagine 6'6" is probably like top 1%.
Yeah, 1%, right? So we're 1%ers in my world. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a writer and a director. That was the dream. So I would stay up late writing screenplays, just jot with these tiny little prison pencils, and I was just writing on loose leaf, just these like ideas of what I thought a movie screenplay was.
Right.
And then I would go do comedy at the talent shows, and that's where I got that bug. I'm like, maybe. Because I would kill so hard.
Really?
And it was like the most brutal form of roasting. It would be like pick out a gang in the audience and then just like call them a pedophile. Like call them out for being a chomo. You know what I mean?
Wait, but that would work? There wouldn't be any offense taken?
Kill.
The thing about the Serranos is,
dude, no, and it got to the point where I got notoriety from being that dude. So yes, I would have a Serrano walk up to me and be like, "Hey, you gonna make fun of Joker at the next talent show? Hey, it's his birthday. It's his cumple."
Holy shit.
So if I didn't go hard enough, it would bomb. Wow. So I'm like, oh, that's where I was like, oh, the best comedy is not when you're trying to be funny. It's saying truths in a funny way.
Right.
So that's kind of like dictated my comedy. And they'll see, once this comedy shit pops, they'll see what I do. Like, that's when I was like, oh, I want to be hilarious. If I'm going to do stand-up, it's got to be... I can't be worried about trying to get like a TV deal, trying to get on Jimmy Fallon. Like, it's got to be genuine. It's got to make people like punch people in the gut.
Yeah.
To where they involuntary like keel over laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to say things that people don't say, but that people deep down believe.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, that's how that whole journey started. And then when I got to Hollywood, so I got out in 2012, I got off probation super quick because cases like mine, they're everywhere. So like I got off probation in 2 months, right? I just took a couple of UAs, pissed clean. And then, July of 2012, I moved to LA, and then 10 years, and I was doing comedy. I didn't know what I was going to do. It took me a few years of being in LA, kicking around to figure out, okay, I want to do stand up.
Right.
And then I was, when podcasting started getting super hot, and like 2016,
But did it start out as a YouTube channel for you, or did you start the YouTube channel to do interviews
I started
with criminals?
the YouTube channel to do the Connect, to do interviews. But I didn't even start it out because I had been comedy podcasting, putting shit on YouTube, but it's just already by 2018, 2019, it was just flooded.
Yeah.
So unless you were already a name, unless you were in the Rogan sphere, right? Or you were with you or these other like big like first movers, I call them, right? In the podcasting game, it's just hard to pop organically. So I'm like, how the are we going to do this? And so that's when I came up with the idea, like in my YouTube algorithm, it was just all big cholos talking about the craziest shit I seen in Mexican prison. And it's got like 2 million views.
Yeah.
And it's like filmed on an iPhone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow. And then I would see like Vice News, some guy from Oxford, some journalist is talking about the Sinaloa cartel. And I'm like, oh, this phone, he doesn't know the first thing. I've been with those guys. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, what if I like blended the two and just told stories, but from a firsthand account, but like a white boy, like, you know, somebody who's articulating it for normal people. So that was the basis for it. So I didn't set out to make it an interview show.
It's funny because like even now, I'm excited to see what my audience thinks of you having all these crazy stories, just like presenting the way that you do.
It's just going to be caps, baseball hats, baseball hats,
obviously,
baseball
a lot
hats.
of people already know you, so I don't want to take away from that. But it will be very interesting to see my very street-esque audience kind of weighing in.